Yeah. Yeah. Once you start applying something to something, you give that something a reality. You don't, but that's how it works. So seeing everything before doesn't put you in the position of being affected after as much. Yeah. This bondage of self. Bondage of self is something we talk about in recovery, but bondage of self in a lot of ways is how it's presented in Buddhism. Yeah. Now, Hinduism and stuff, self means everything and all, but in Buddhism, self means the sense of being a long-lasting, independent, separate thing, a sense which is manufactured. Yeah. So if you start after that, then maybe everything you apply to the wound is more like a poison to it, in a sense. It just grows because we're already established as something that we're not, like self. And because we're established there, the picture has taken bloom of the body. And it's important to tell the truth that you're not that, because that will try to deny and try to chant, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that. It just reinforces the idea. Yeah. So before is the solution. Yeah. Most people start from a bondage of self. Knowing it or not, they've been walking around looking at me, windows and seeing a reflection and calling it them all the time. Yeah. When you're young, spending a lot of time looking at that. Yeah. The thoughts assume that you're a body. That's how they're presented. The brain interprets everything to the body. And there, like the Course says, if you appointed something to be your eyes, why would you be suspicious? It's not going to direct you well, So basically, there's been a reliance on the brain and everything at the expense of the living of life. Yeah. And usually when we feel the absence of living of life, we feel it and it's been claimed at the after point. So now the self is thinking about how to get out of self. And it doesn't work. Yeah, because getting out of self as self is never getting out of self. That's what it is. And the getting out of self is the biggest in. Like, look at addiction. Yeah, you have an irritability, restlessness, discontent. I would imagine from being directed by a head and a head alone. Yeah. And so obviously from that condition that you don't see as a condition, you see it's you, and then you bitch about a lot of other conditions, but you don't see the original condition. Yeah, you look from it. And so you're already behind the 8 ball. And just look at what happens at these talks. You get a few, let's say 12 people, there's like 200 years of trying to get out of self or something. So, or get out into a bigger self, whatever it is, there's a movement going on, like a cha-cha, 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 back and forth. Either you're trying to get out of something, you're trying to get into something. Yeah. But you're trying to get out of something as that something, and you're trying to get into something as that something that you'd like to get out of. Yeah. It's just insane. And I feel you're the last one to know. And I had just, it seemed reasonable the way the thoughts were presented, just like it says in that Course in Miracle part. If you've appointed something to run the show, and you've looked at the resume and you've given it to it, why would you be suspicious of what it's doing? But yeah, we have become suspicious because it's failed. Yeah. And if you don't believe, what would a failed system do? The failed system would present a lot of excuses and rationalizations and blaming of others to camouflage its inherent failness. That's what the head is like. If you had a furniture store and you had a full multicolored layout of a beautiful couch and you had it in stock and someone ordered it and you made the date to get it and they got it and it looked exactly like the picture and stuff like that, that furniture store would need no rationalization for fucking up or not delivering, or if the couch doesn't look like the picture, because it does. They delivered the goods. So there'd be no excuses because they delivered the good. They wouldn't have to rationalize that they didn't deliver the goods, and they wouldn't have to blame others for not delivering the goods because they delivered the goods. Looks just like the paint picture, everything like that. That's working. Listen to the head. It's full of blaming others. It's full of excuses. It's sometimes we're so fucked and frustrated, and then the head just tries to rationalize it. It doesn't ease anything. It's just like a bomb with no medicine, you know. You could do better with mayonnaise. To put mayonnaise on you. Oh, don't worry. It's just the way things are. No, fuck. I wanted that thing, you know, or whatever. Yes. So we're stuck at it's like addiction. I had a run. Yeah. Some monkey was on my back and took me to a lot of fucking clown shows and circuses that turned fucking horrific. Now, when I was out there, I was attracted to cocaine quite a lot. I did a lot of cocaine. I did it every way you can do cocaine. And and I loved it, even though if you ever done cocaine, the payoff cost ratio sucks. You get a rush or something like that, then you're anxious all the fucking rest of the time, or your mind goes fucking off, and yet you keep doing it because it's not you obviously doing it. Yes, you're just a seemingly powerless spectator watching this thing play out. Yeah, and as it goes along, the payoff cost ratio severely gets altered. You know, so it's very little payoff and a lot of cost. Yeah. Now, I felt I went pretty damn far in that direction. Yeah, I would match it with any other devotion to anything else, like devotion to your job or to your wife or to spirituality. I would put up my devotion to that matches anything. Yet not one point in all of that activity did I believe I was cocaine. Never. Never. And to me, truly, this is what makes all addictions seemingly hopeless states of mind and body. They appear to be, but they're not. Yeah, because you're not it. You're not the drug. You're not that stuff. Yeah, there's a separation. So that separation of not being it leaves an opening. No matter how bad it gets, you could stop and you would continue. You could stop the drug and yet you would continue. Yeah, because you're before the drug. You're the taker of the drug. Yeah. And that sense of being before brings great possibility of your relationship with what's after. Yeah. But if it was after, who the fuck knows? But there's a before, which is seemingly you. Now, okay, the mental addiction is this idea of being the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the taster, the toucher, all these ERs. Yeah. And all of that accumulation of claiming represented as a body who's now the doer, the thinker, even though there's the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the taster, the toucher. Yeah. There's also the doing, thinking, feeling, tasting, touching. So there is the object the doer, and then there's the subjective event, the thinking and this and that. This is the duality of it. Yeah, this is the essence of the duality. It is the sense of being subject object. And you can watch it. Sometimes you're thought about as an object, obviously, and sometimes you're presented as the thinker, which would be a subject. Yeah, but the subject is the object, and the object is the object. Yeah, yeah. So that, to me, that feeling, or it's a sense, just like we were talking about that sense of individuality and a sense of something. It's a sense that's interpreted. It's just a sense, and the sense really is I am, and then it's interpreted as I am Paul. Yeah, and then Paul, and then at that point, that's the beginning of the story, is Paul. The I am drives the whole story, but very rarely it's Paul. Everything stops at Paul and starts at Paul. Yes, come here, honey. Yeah. And yet nothing starts at Paul and stops at Paul. It's all I am. Yeah. All right. So the head is addicted to this idea. Yeah. Now, you can't look at it like other forms of addiction, because other forms of addiction have you and then the thing you're addicted to: money, sex, food, drugs. This case, the addiction is we take ourselves to be the drug already. Yeah. So the idea of Paul is the drug that the mental state is shooting up all day. Yeah, and just sniffing and fucking smoking and suppositories up the ass. It's just going on and on and on. And then that unbearability for some people leads to try to get relief, not from it, but as it, because we don't realize the act of being identified. So we want to give up all these other drugs while taking ourselves to be this drug, this mental drug of self. This is why most shit doesn't work. And this is one of the things recovery that came about as AA presented. They realized it doesn't work. And they realized they needed another source of a solution. And it couldn't come from this you that thinks it's doing the cocaine, because the you is a drug. Yeah. So it says, we're going to call it a spiritual solution. So it's not going to be your solution, and you're really going to have very little to do with it, because you're really you assume you're the doctor, but you're going to be the patient. You're going to be laying down there, and then hopefully there's going to be what? There's nothing that needs to be extracted. It's just losing interest in it. Yeah. And when you lose interest in it, the obviousness of the before becomes obvious. So now a lot of people in recovery have recovered from not from the drinking and using, but from the drug of self. They've recovered from it. Yeah. In other words, the drug of your foreground of life was the drug of self. And then you had the whatever, the back. Yeah. That whatever was happening here was really interpreted from this. This is what changes. So you get a new attitude, outlook, new basis, new happiness, new freedom. You get a whole new deal. Not to the same old customer. You've recognized that. And so now, instead of living everything after the bondage of self, which is the act, this identification as something you're not, hovering around all day while you're trying to get in and out and in, that you're always seemingly in that. See, there's no outdoor there because it's taken to be you. So there's no entrance or exit. You believe it's what goes through every exit and entrance. You don't see the doors that are here. Yeah, because you're looking from it. You're looking from self. Not you, this is the language, but there's a looking from self, which completely neglects, almost as if nothing's there, the before. And so a lot of people go through a sufficient enough event, it could be nothing or it could be something, where they now get established where they never actually left, which is before the bondage of self. So now they can see not bondage to alcohol and not bondage to coke and not bondage to job work or not bondage to sex or not bondage to food. They see the bondage of self. That was the one that seemingly was bonded to sex, bonded to this, bonded to that. And what happens is, seeing the bondage of self from not the bondage of self, there's relief for the other shit. Yeah. And that relief for the other shit gets established by relief from this bondage of self, because all of them were actually solutions, very weird solutions to the bondage of self. When I started to drink, it was a solution to where I thought I was. It was. I wanted momentary relief from this preoccupation. Yeah. And of course, it led to something else, which was alcoholism and then drug addiction. Yeah. Because everything was seen after the bondage of self. The self was established as me. Yeah. I had a lot of yes or no's, go this way, go that way, but whatever was going to go this way was the same, and whatever went that way was the same. Yeah. So I was established in a sameness, and then there was presented these false choices, because the same fucking thing would take either way. You. And the reef was not in the way you went, but being away from you. Yeah. So this is why people found service is such an incredible thing. Yeah. Because you get out of this sense of self by being available to others. Yeah. You get out of it. So, and where do you go? It's not a self that got out of it. You're out of the self. And instead of the self getting out of it, which is fucking the pipe dream of all pipe dreams, we keep on going, because we want to be there to experience our own absence. I want to be there to witness the transcending. Or what the fuck? I don't give a shit about transcendence. But I do if I'm involved. I would like to see that. I'd like to see some people transcended out of my. Well, that's another point. So this is not a condition that gets produced after you go through other conditions. It's a conditionless condition. The before self is the before self. It's not a self that makes before. Yes, it's before it. And you don't need tons of cheerleaders. It whacks you and you just know, like, and seeing life from this, maybe sincerely take it, and then you get established in it. It basically is the last answer, because there's no other squares on the game board. There may be other squares, but they're not privy to us. Yeah. So what do? You've put the fucking ball down, because you've run as far as you can the other way, like you were thinking you were going towards a goal, but you were actually running away from everything. Yeah. And now you see that, and there's a great loss of interest in it, because it's not you. You see it, there's nothing you need to do with it unless it's extreme, and then life will probably send you to a rehab or something else. Life is going to conspire for whatever seems to be a pernicious condition to be addressed. Yeah. But that condition isn't being owned and held by another fucking condition, which is the source of the discomfort. Yeah. So this is like there's a prayer in recovery. Please relieve us of the bondage of self. Yeah. It doesn't say, please help me stop drinking. It's past that point. It's please relieve us of the bondage of self, so that we can better do thy will, whatever that may be. Yes. Because obviously, if we're doing something else's will, we may not be able to do another will better, so to speak. Yes. So because we're looking for another will after the bondage of self, where the will that moves everything and all things is before the bondage of self. So we have any life run on self-will, that's in place. And now we want to get some suggestions how I could, lessen this part of the will or increase this, selflessness and all whatever. But it's always the self-will. Yeah, because we're living in time after the great event of before. Yet we are and always will be attached to that, no matter how far or how mutated our little mental balloon becomes. Yes, there's a string to I am. There's no escape. So, uh, some people in recovery have been sober quite a long time. And one of the descriptions of a condition that you may be living in is that the problem does not exist for you anymore. Wow, it's fucking mind-boggling. If you have ever had a monkey of addiction on your back and maybe for a long, long time, and it just completely filled up every moment of your fucking day with its irritability, restlessness, and discontent, and its constant chattering and shit like that, to have that condition not exist for you anymore can only be truly established in the before. Yes. So you can live in an after, but be from the before. But when you live from the after, and then you're from the after, man, you're going to have 400 years of spiritual seeking in a one Zoom, if you combined it all. 400 years, calloused cheeks on sitting on the meditation pillow so long. Yeah, because the after, to try to be free as self in the after, is slavery. It's slavery. Yeah, there may be better food in that camp. There may be a very nice setting. They may have everyone chanting beautifully and thing, but it's a form of slavery because you're constantly going to be driven to get out of something you're not in. What's that but slavery? Yeah. And in the after, you're in. When the head speaks about you, it doesn't give you the idea you could be a self, you're gonna be a self. It says you already are one. Its whole assumption is you're historically a self. So as far back in time that you can remember, and then you rely on your parents for the other period when you're a baby, yeah? The only thing you can remember as the before is of the after. Yeah, you're a self, seemingly. Yeah. And so why do you think spiritual practices are like a parade for it? Yeah. It's gonna get an incredible insurance policy. It may take lifetimes. Oh, the selfing loves that. All right, let's get in. I'm in for the long haul. I'm gonna be Paul becoming something all the time. And I'm never gonna reach the point of becoming something. I'm just gonna be Paul. Yeah. That's like a wet dream of the after. Yeah. So hopefully something whacks you in whatever you're doing so that you see the failure of it. And now it will be its great success. When the seeker is not there seeking another sort, but recognizes the seeker is the sort, which will just collapse the time and space. And there you are in the before with no after. Because in a sense, in the before, the after isn't real. It's dreaming, as the Course in Miracles would put it. It's dreaming. Yeah. And we're dreaming a life of self, as self, for self, with self, through self. Yeah. And of course, because it's dualistic, the self would love to have an experience of non-self, but as a self. Yeah. And it's a juicy little tidbit in the yeah. It's funny how this message, very rarely do you get it downloaded while you're meditating for 13 hours. Never happened to me. When I was at these retreats in Thailand and fucking hallucinating because of, forced starvation, losing a pound a day, tripping my brains out, not once. It was that idea of Paul was doing all this was fucking set in stone. Yeah. And if 13 hours a day for 3 weeks couldn't even start a chiseling of it, there's something off there. I'm like, yeah, but I learned that way. I tried. I did with sincerity. Yeah. Yet it was so ephemeral. It had no foundation. Yeah. Where you would be at a retreat at this one place, and when you were going to leave, they would talk with you and say, listen, do you have to go on the freeway? Don't take the freeway. Don't listen to any heavy metal music along the way. Don't, what? I mean, it was like they were giving me a super fragile 5,000-year Chinese glass thing. Yeah. The before is all terrain. Wow. It doesn't need any special conditions. It doesn't. It drives everywhere. It can't be, you don't need to put chains on it, fucking get new wheels. It's just, yeah, it's like a gecko. You know, a gecko, it's as it's walking on any surface, it immediately shifts things on this to hold the surface. The gecko has no sense of being a gecko, but incredible fucking accessories. You hit the terrain and it adapts to the terrain so it can stay stuck. Do you think it's going, oh man, no, the gecko's fucking, it's just a tongue trying to grab a fucking mosquito. Yeah. But the marveling of what's behind its geckoing is mind boggling. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a after that's a conceptual before. That's a huge thing. That that conceptual before will be dropped in the water for you as a fish to try to grab. Yeah. So you've got that before has been conceptualized. That's the only way it can be presented in the after. And now you think everything, all there is consciousness. Well, yeah, I'm still seeing the walnut tree, this and that, but all there is, and all these things, and you attempt to adapt it. But what comes first is perception of things and things being separate. Yeah. So before you get the second card, you've always played the first card in a way. Yeah. And I think it could determine the outcome of any game. If you recognize that, you won't have to go through all the games. You'll realize the determination of it. If the first card dominates the rest of what's dealt, yes, and you didn't see any opportunity of getting the card, you're as the card. So basically, your 5-card Monty is always 4-card Monty. You're taking yourself the B Monty, yeah, and you're getting the other 4 cards. Never questioning this, never questioning the sense of individuality. The only way you question the sense of individuality as a seemingly individual, yeah. I just don't see how you're going to get before it. I do see that you already are before it, but I do not see how you're going to get before it. I don't. I've tried things. I've seen some of my friends have tried tons of stuff, and usually every time they tried something, they presented at the new amazing thing, and it seems like the same old fucking amazing thing. Because if it's a process in time, it's out-timed by that which is before, and what's before is the self thing. Yeah. The brain is inserting its take before all the other takes can be entertained. And its take is based on its interpreting everything to the body. Yeah. So You hear all you are is consciousness as a body. You hear all you are is love as a body. Yeah. This is a heart path. What has a fucking body? What goes on a path? What has a heart? A body. Yes. Everything gets framed and implied to a language that supports the idea that you're a thing all day. Yeah. And you're hearing it. Hopefully you're not listening to it, but you are hearing it. Yeah. And if you're not armed with some kind of understanding, non-duality, how that is going to explain itself to you. This idea of self is going to constantly explain itself to you and explain everything through its view. Yeah. And you spend a lot of time rationalizing shit that make no sense. But because you don't think there's any other game in town. Yeah. Yeah. But if you bring in the before, it neuters all the influence of the after. The after has great influence in what comes after it. Yeah. But what we are is before the mental activity of selfing. We are. And you can see it. Yeah. But if you don't see it, I think you're going to be looking from it. You're going to be looking from the idea of being a thing, and then maybe all your drives and wishes are to try not to be a thing as a thing. Yeah. So this is what it brought to me. It brought me here. And when I arrived at these ideas, I've never left. So I'm open for other stuff to come in, but nothing's ever come in. So I figure, hey, my action figure, it was wound up and it ended here. Yeah. There it is. It just hasn't gone anywhere since. Yeah. So we're using words to imply something. Don't worry, don't get caught up in the words. But sometimes we've been living a language of duality. So sometimes it's nice to use a dualistic language like before and after to get you to somewhere else, not to get you anywhere, really. Yeah. Yeah. So, forgive me if my fundamentalism isn't showing. Yes. So, yeah, because to me, it's a feeling. It's a sense before all the other senses the head is going to produce. The sense of free will, the sense of individuality. This is a much stronger sense. It's a sense of I am. Yeah. And it's actually what allows all the other senses to be presented and reinforced all day is the ever lit up light of I am. Because Paul can only be I was and I will be. It's true. It catches a reflection in time and it presents itself to be the sun. Yeah. You don't see the sun in its fucking constellation, but you're feeling it. It's the before. It's the forgotten fucking universe. Yeah. Seemingly forgotten, but never to be forgotten. So, yeah, I like the idea of before and after because the life of recovery seems a lot like that. I was on the after side and it was a bitch, really was. And I couldn't get it until I got whacked. I had to have like a radical intervention, just got whacked. And then I was introduced to the way of life that would extend that whack, which was recovery. Yeah. I didn't get the whack through recovery. I got to extend the whack through recovery. So got the whack of recovery. And the same thing with the non-duality. I had very strong suspicions that where we were starting from ain't the starting point. You know what I mean? And that starting point was giving a lot of meaning to every other point. Yeah. And I just had this vague feeling. And through the practices stuff, I lost interest in those practices. And then I was introduced to the Course in Miracles, and their presentation of dreaming felt fantastically on. And then the non-duality was introduced. And I just went there with sincerity And then what they said wasn't that I did not get established in what they said. Has always been established in what they said. That was the trick. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I'm now going to get established in another fucking thing. Yeah. No, this was the establishment. This was what I am. Yeah. And that became the last answer in this world of problem and answer and solution and this and that, which is a mind-boggling quality for an answer to be the last one. Yeah. The final say, so to speak. When is it that you run into the final say? Very rarely. Yeah. Yeah. So now, here we are. Can share it because, in a sense, the problem does not exist as us. Yeah. Yeah. So you can talk about it. Yeah. Yeah. You can talk about it as what it really is, an object, instead of calling it a fucking subject all day. You can see that this is an object, actually a non-existing object, as Ramana said, that's being presupposed to be an existing object, which is the subjectiveness of the I am manifesting through this, yeah, is being presented as an attribute an object has, which is an essence of non-duality. Yeah. Yeah. So the sense of free will, they had a great one, man, a great little book, because you hear this at all the meetings, is there free will or is there predetermination? And then it gets slicker. Is there free will in predetermination? And they asked this to Ramana, and I had one of these little booklets, and Ramana said very clearly, if there's a sense of individuality, a sense, it didn't say is if there's individuality, he didn't. He said, if there's a sense of individuality, there'll be a sense of free will. So while you're debating the idea of the free will, you're debating it as a sense of individuality. That's what should be looked at. Yeah. Forget about the free will and the predetermination. See who is it that's asking about it. Yeah. Because that's a sense of individuality. That's based on what? It's based on a non-existent thing taken to be an existing thing. That's a sense of individuality. Then all of these other topics become interesting. Yeah. But now they're seen as, they become interesting to that individual that is just reassured and re-authenticated by the sense of individuality, not manufactured by the sense of individuality, but actually the sense of individuality could only come from an individual. Yeah. Yet the sense of individuality is making the idea of the individual up. But now the individual says the only way there could be a sense of individuality would be from an individual. So it verificates it. It's in its own court system. It keeps authorizing, and yes, it goes on and on. So there is a solution. Yeah. It's not found in the after. It's expressed in the after, for sure. Yeah. You may find a lot of things that are going to cause you to fall or stumble or jump into something, and that's the before, but it's not in the after. Yeah. 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 So, all right. Who's running? Oh, it's Kathleen. Kathleen.
I don't
Open.
know. I don't think anybody's running the show.
Oh, no? All right. Well,
Does anybody have a question or a comment for Paul?
it's a beautiful day in
It looks like it.
we're at a bus stop. Some people are upset. They missed their bus over there.
Oh,
Yeah, these two have been waiting a
hi,
while, so
Amelia.
they and then and then here we are in a lovely. It was warm today here, so we're all outside. Very nice. And yeah, there's the queen, the dog.
Oh,
Yes.
there's
Yes.
Lola. There's Noor.
Well,
Hi,
you have
Noor.
a sense of what we're saying, I hope. The feeling that, you know, the echo you hear isn't from afar, it's from before. Yeah. The echoes aren't coming from a mystical future. They're reverberating from the before. Yeah. This is what I used to meet people, and they were thinking they were on the way to awakening. And you could obviously see they were awake already, and then they were going on a journey. Just what the hell? You got a lot of time, might as well. But where they were going to arrive at was where on having never left. They had never left it, and it seemed so obvious. But they were, you know, seriously looking ahead. Yeah. Yeah. The hell.
David down under has his hand up.
David, down under.
Hi, David.
G'day, everybody. Hello, Paul.
Hello. Hello, David.
Have I got a deep voice on the Zoom?
Eh?
Does my voice sound deep on the Zoom?
Yes.
It's funny how people tell you you have things or you sound a certain way and you don't realize it yourself.
I know.
Yeah, but anyway.
You're the only one that we have subtitles underneath. We had to get a special app for you. Yeah, it takes a second, but it translates it quickly, so we all can understand what you're saying.
I think I'm pretty ununderstandable anyway. Well, it's like, you know, the subject object thing that goes on in me, or in this, always seems to have this goal of fear about everything. You know, and I'm not sure if it was you that said it a while ago, or I was watching one of your Zooms, and you said something like, fear, true fear is a valid emotion, or fear's not caused by what you think it is caused by.
Yeah.
Can you, I'm not sure if that was you that said that or not, but can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So fear is a valid emotion. For most people, it arises when we're in a threatful situation or an accident or something happening. Yeah, like an animal on the trail. Yes, a shark in the water. Yeah. And then there's a trigger. Now, if it's a real sufficient one, adrenaline will drop. Your body will release adrenaline so you could further your fight or your flight. Yes. So fear is a valid emotion, but also an emotion, the potential of an emotion is there without the emotion appearing. Yes. So there's like an instrument of fear, and in many days it's maybe not played, so you don't hear anything from it. And then when something happens in your life, it triggers it to play. Yeah. When a threat happens and stuff like that. Now, I believe the mental state strums or plays the instrument of fear. Yeah. All day with no apparent threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's made up. So we're having, and in my case, other people have told me they've actually had adrenaline drops, and that would be like a fear attack or whatever you call it. What's that? Panic attack. I haven't had it. I've only had the adrenaline when it was a real situation. But they're having a panic attack and adrenaline is being dropped. Yeah. So that means the mental state has the key to the emotional lock and it can play it. Yeah. And so I believe what most people are calling fear is mental anxiety. It would be nice to have a clear, yeah, because the fogginess of stuff, if you're going to be if you're going to be beat up by name and form, let's be clear about some of the names. Yeah. Because we're calling mental anxiety fear, and it ain't. Yes. Because usually a lot of people are in what they call fear, and there's no apparent threat. Their head is just busy thinking about tomorrow or yesterday and concerned it's going to lose what it thinks it has or not get what it wants. You know, there's a lot of mental anxiety in the head, a lot. Its nature is agitated. Therefore, whatever it touches, it agitates. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. When it says it can't wait to enjoy peace of mind, it cannot enjoy peace of mind. It can't. It cannot sit still for a second because it's always got to move to something else because this is its nature. It's agitated. Yeah. And it's good to see, just like when you see the story of the snake and, you know, the lady that saves the snake and she's really nice to the snake, yet the snake bites her because that's the nature of the snake, yeah, is to bite. Well, the nature of the head is to be agitated. Good to know, yeah? So you're spending tons of money trying to get it calmed down, it tends to fall back to its nature, which is agitated, yeah? Now, what can you do if something's agitated? And you're working on it seems to make it more agitated. Well, maybe if you lost interest in it, the agitation wouldn't seem to be so bothersome. Yes? What? Yeah. Just like if you're focused on something with no other space around it and you're just completely on that something, if the camera would just move back, you would see some space that would bring a sense of proportion to that thing you were obsessed over. It's just obvious. You can see it as examples. Yeah, right? Oh, now, yeah, that's there still, but then there's this, and there's this walnut tree, and there's other things. Yes. And now, yeah. So the mental anxiety to me is playing the instrument of fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
And triggering physiological effects that fear would trigger, but without the apparent threat. So basically, we're responding or we're reacting to what's not happening as if it's happening. Yeah. And a lot of times, most of our day is really reacting to what's not happening. Because as the Course in Miracles says, the head sees only the past. So all day when the head is seeing shit, it only sees the past. So you're always getting triggered by what you're seeing, and that thing may not have any quality of the trigger. It's just being used to trigger. Yeah. And so, and in what's not happening, anything can happen. That's the incredible thing. There's no anchor of fact in what's not happening. So it overrides the fact. Like right now, you're okay, but you could be not okay next week. And the head may lean so much heavy on that, it'll override your okayness now. Most of the time, whatever you are now is being overridden by what's not happening, by the head. And now so what's going on? You're in the dark and someone says it knows the way and we let it lead us, but it's blind also. Yeah. So we're walking around hitting fucking chairs and shit like that. We used to use it a long time ago in the old talks. You know, you've accepted the darkness of this room. And so when you walk, you run into things. So you run into things and you bump into people. You want to get to the bathroom. You don't remember where the bathroom is. It's dark. And so what do? You get, knee protectors. So when you hit the furniture, it won't hurt so much. And then you have a preemptive apology for all the people you bump into before you even bump into them. Yeah. And there's people in the dark selling maps, but they're fucking dark to the bathroom. And then all that's needed is the possibility of entertaining. Hey, there's a light switch over there. Put on the light and take the knee pads off. Those $5 maps, you'll see the absurdity of it. I can see the bathroom. That was the whole source of the whole fucking problem. Yeah. I'm relying on someone to walk me to the, I heard where it once was, fucking insane. So we're relying, knowing it or not, there's not we, but there's a reliance on the head, and the head is not reliable. That's all. And the head, not able to figure out life, has made an interpretation of it. Yeah. So it says If you're good things will happen. If you're bad things will happen. But a lot of bad people seem to do really great here. And so you're always getting fucking frustrated because it doesn't make any sense. Because it doesn't. Yeah. The unknown is such a scary thing to the head. It gives you a known. That makes you fucking unknowing. Yeah. Yeah. So now we've become suspicious of what has been leading us. And man, all you're going to get is the same boss. The old boss is, the new boss is the same as the old boss. But if you see all of that from what you are, which is before, that's where the solution lies. Because in that world, that space, there's not a world, there's no problem. Yeah. So I believe, all this shit the head brings out of time, we can, just a little bit of timelessness can be brought out right where we are. And that little bit is going to go a long, long way. It really is. And it's sort of like living on the bright side of the moon in recovery. Yeah. I'm living in a life before the bondage of self, instead of trying to cope with a life after the bondage of self. Yeah. Yeah. The bondage self is the act of being identified as something that you're not. When we lie on the head, the brain interprets to the body of which is a part. A lot of people come from the Course in Miracles at these Zooms. That's from the Course in Miracles. Around page 498, I think. It says very clearly, the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. This you should know. So obviously it's being emphasized big with that second sentence. This you should know. All right, now you know it. I delivered the Course in Miracles for you. Yeah. All right. Kathleen and whoever it is, anyone jump in there. You see the futility? It starts with the non-existent thing that's taken to be an existent thing. That's it. Yeah. You didn't do it. There was no you. The idea of a you came after the non-existent thing was taken to be an existent thing. It's just simple. All of these things were born from an insane idea. Yeah. If you look at the genealogy, it goes back to that same point. The assumption or a presupposing of a non-existent thing being an existing thing. Yeah. If this is the case, which he was basically saying it is the case, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing to be what? The existent thing. How can they destroy it? It's not a verdict. It's an invitation. It's something to question and see. To see where do you land in that statement. Where do you land in it? Because if what you're taking to be is a non-existent thing, and the head has mixed up the existence with the non-existent, yeah. If you're starting there, if you're looking from there, you're not going to see what's before. But if you see what's before, you're not looking from there. Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see the perch you used to always look at everything from. You'll see it as a perch. You will. Yeah. Doesn't move you to do anything, and maybe it will. I don't know. I don't think there's any rote way of anything, literally. Yeah. We're talking about, they take everyone to be unique, but they take the body to be the same. So this is terrible for anybody, like let's say pineapple or something, So anybody that would take pineapple, it would be bad for them. Obviously not. Yeah. They're all about uniqueness, but they try to make the body as the sameness. So if this doesn't work for this, it's all bodies it doesn't work for. Yeah. It's not true. Nothing's true because there's no reality here. How can you get over the idea the placebo works just as good as the $50 pill? Yeah, that could only be an example of dreaming. Yes, I mean, if this was a real place, it would be a real pill that would produce real effects. But because this place is uncaused effects, fucking nothing. You know, a salt tablet can cure you from cancer. Did the salt tablet do it? No, but you believed it, and that did it. So mind did it, yeah, as everything else. So whatever. The knowledge isn't for knowledge's sake. It's for an establishment in that sense of being, to get established there, not you, but an establishment there, to recognize, yeah, seeing brings you somewhere. It's not all seeing. You don't need a new example every moment. You get enough examples and the principle becomes obvious. Yeah. And now you're not constantly trying to root yourself somewhere. You're looking from it with great assurance, yeah, that you can never be or not be anywhere else. So everything just whispers on having never left. Yeah. So you don't have to go through the process of arriving. Yeah. On having never left. Yeah. Yeah.
Paul, we have 3 hands now.
It's too late. 7:50, no more questions. All right.
But I thought it was past the cutoff, but Walter was first, then we have Steve, and then we have, oh no, Eric doesn't have his hand up. I'm sorry. Okay. So
All
Walter.
right, Walter.
Walter.
Yeah. Good morning. Actually, I lowered my hand. So, what you're saying is from the self, it's completely made up by yourself, which is actually the conditioning of your society, your friends, the books, whatever, you know? And then all recovery or every action you do is doomed to fail. At the most, you can attain sobriety, you know? And now again, I come to the same point as I was before in the rooms, and then I left. No matter how long people are sober, sometimes 40, and now they created a sober identity, and they went to the church and they did study liturgy and become therapists. But still, they now have a very sophisticated kind of self, and I don't see any happiness, you know, and they're actually poisoning other people who are trying to get out of it and make them smaller. Um, that ain't no fucking freedom. But anyway, I see again. Okay, what to do now? You know, because the self somehow all the time comes back from the back door again. You know, sitting silently doing nothing. Yeah, well, it doesn't really work. You know, because I also tried this number. You know, and okay, then what? You know, then what? The other woman didn't work. The other kind of job didn't work. Moving the house didn't work. You know, quitting with drinking. Well, it's a more sane
In a
life.
way,
But
Walter, excuse me. In a way, they did work because you realize they didn't work, so they worked. Now stay at
okay,
that event horizon, and some winds are gonna blow you, and then just go with those winds. So you've seen the shit that didn't work has worked. Yeah.
okay, that's the Zen answer. Thank you.
And now see where you get launched. Yeah. You the preliminary trials you finished. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
You see the futility of trying to work something that doesn't work. Great. That's incredible valuable to me. Yeah. But
yeah,
there's no one's to blame or to punish and shit like that. It's just this is
no,
the way it goes. And now you're at the event horizon, the lip of a black hole, so to speak. There you are. And stand at ease and wait for fucking orders. He may have you standing at ease for quite a while. Just wait for orders. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Remember the Course in Miracles talk about unhealed healers? We're all unhealed healers. That's what allows healing to come through you, is when you're an unhealed healer and you've admitted it. It's when you're acting like a healed, unhealed healer, then shit hits the fan. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all admit we're frauds. I have never shown up at a Paul Hedderman meeting, ever. If I would, we would have had very, very, very few meetings. Because that Paul Hedderman that would decide to show up is based on a lot of fucking conditions that would make it decide not to show up. Thank God I saw that. And I've been at every Paul Hedderman meeting, yet I've never attended one of them.
Yeah.
And I believe you can live like this. I can. I do. I believe it. Yeah. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It just has to be a sufficient amount of interest. Like, I don't know, maybe I hated the life of addiction and stuff like that. But when I came out of it, the sense that something was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself was super amplified by all that other shit that came before it. I mean, it was like a heavenly choir. Yes. So I believe they had something to do with each other in the dreaming oneself out of the dreaming. So
Yeah.
I really appreciated the idea of turning one's will and life over to the
Yeah.
care of something greater than self. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a living feeling because I
Yeah.
had surrendered to many things in life. The police, I spent 2 years in a program. And so all of that gave a lot of flavor to these freeing principles that may
But
not
it
have
also,
had that flavor if I hadn't gone through it. Yeah.
but it had to bring you to the point of completely hopelessness, isn't it? Completely
Yeah, but I
desperation.
don't have to go back there anymore. I was
No,
brought there.
no,
Yeah.
please.
Seriously. I don't need to
We've
go
seen
back
it.
there. I saw
No,
enough.
no.
The same thing. There's humility could be forced. You're under forced humility because the head that would like to be a braggart and stuff has been revealed too many times. It can't puff up its chest in its new outfit when it has no clothes. Yeah. And so I hope life has brought us to that point where you see the emperor has no clothes, no matter how much it's wearing. Yeah. So this is the value of getting your ass kicked in a lot of ways, I guess, if you want to see it that way. But the flavor I had with the effects of recovery were unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. I I really could grok surrender. Yeah, I could. And because when you had a bottom in addiction, that 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 little figment of the head that says it's the observer of everything, it's never really, it was in the box also. No part of the head got escaped from the bottom. Yeah. I mean, that which wanted to jump ship and then swim to another ship drowned in that ship. Yeah. It did. And it came out with some fucking humility and shit. Something, so in a way, the taste I have of freedom right now may be like sweetened by the bondage that I had experienced. Yes. And this is the beauty or the artistic expression of duality. Yeah. Someone who's been there knows what it's like. I mean, maybe, getting run over by a car brought empathy that I probably never would have had. Yeah. So who am I to argue with shit? I didn't write this script. I'm just playing out the script. Yeah. 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 So, yeah, Walter,
Thank you, bro.
there you are, just at ease and wait for orders. Yeah. It may say do nothing. Who knows? But hey, everyone's just doing what, you know, I had a reminder the other day. We have a friend, someone came from the East, and they were looking for a hostel, and we brought them to a hostel called the European Hostel in San Francisco that I knew of a long time ago, because I used to go out with European girls that were in there when I was out on the streets over 40 years ago. Same place. It was an insane when we drove in there. There was all these people like they were paused in a drug-filled coma in this alley. Some guy under a blanket in a wheelchair was halfway on the street. I mean, no one was moving him. It was just syringes everywhere. And we said, bye-bye. It was just unbelievable. Yeah. And you know, how sunny or bright your side is, someone's having a very fucking dark day. Yeah. The duality of this event is a mind-boggling. Yeah. So, the guy in the wheelchair, really, I was going to back up, but we could have been swarmed by Night of the Living Dead. It would look like it could have been like a zombie movie. It was really trippy. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the guy must have just passed out in the wheelchair. Nobody, all the others people, no one's moving him. It's just fucking insane. People left behind. Yeah. So, hey, unbelievable, really. Look at what addiction does. The addiction of the head to this idea of self. Look at what it spawned. Yeah. People are actually weighing, if I get high with this, my skin is gonna fall off. And they're actually, you know, doing a little pro and con to that. You know, I mean, that's insane. That's insane. So, man, your sail is up. Yeah. Some wind's gonna blow you. Yeah. I think you may, in a weird way, have a say about that. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. All right, Steve L. Steve.
Hello, Paul.
Hello.
I met you in Temecula.
Oh, you did. Nice. Oh, yeah. Now I can see you. Yeah.
I stood up and said that I had to attend the Packers defeating the 49ers. Remember?
Yes.
Good to see you.
That didn't go that well.
Well, that's you know, subject to interpretation. Some people, the Packers outplayed the 49ers. So I don't know. We'll see. It was fun. Hey, I'm glad to see you're feeling better.
Yes. I have a lot of people helping me.
Cool.
Yeah.
One of my action figures is a sick medical healer. So it's not the salt that cures the cancer; it's the sodium bicarbonate reverses the acidity that lets the cancer thrive. And if you want to talk to a medical action figure Steve about it sometime, I'd be happy to.
Oh, great. Great. Yes. Everyone, you can listen to that.
There's
Yeah.
tons of Steves. There's tons. There are legions of Steves, and
Well, we know this, Steve. So yeah, we'll
I'm just watching them.
you're
And
gonna
just,
be put in my Rolodex, Steve. Sodium bicarbonate.
okay, I'll talk to you about it anytime you want.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
One of your phone numbers, so I just wanted to introduce myself.
All right, Steve. Yes, you can.
Thanks a
think
lot.
your phone number is in the Zen Bitch Slap on this site.
Yeah, usually I just call in and my name doesn't show up. So,
Oh.
so I'm just not here. So I wanted to say hi and thank you for all you do, because you've opened up a lot of nothingness for me, things I need to forget. So thank you.
You're welcome, Steve. Yes,
See you again.
thank you. Thank you, yes. All right, anyone else? We have someone?
No, I don't see any other hands right now, Paul.
Okay, I think we'll say goodbye.
Okay.
What a lovely at night. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully when you hear non-duality, it's very disarming, yeah. Because the hallelujah is based on futility. The impossibility of you getting out of you is hallelujah, yeah. Because when you stop, you'll be able to smell the roses. And maybe that pang that you thought was a spiritual calling was just a discontent and unsatisfied action figure. Yeah. And maybe when the underlying condition of the action figure is not based on the action figure may be able to travel lighter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's going to feel a satisfaction and contentment that it has nothing to do with. Yes. Yeah. And that's really all that it needs. It's idea of, I remember when I got first sober, I would be walking home, and I thinking I was having this incredible spiritual event. I was flipping out. And then I realized all I needed was a bologna sandwich. I had my blood sugar was bad. So I think I was calling a fucking physical condition. I'm having a spirit. I needed a bologna sandwich. So maybe all most of us need is just to have some contentment and satisfaction. Yeah. Not well earned or bought or garnered only to be lost, but as a new basis. Yeah. Content and satisfied pretty much. Yeah. Little aggravations here and there, but not these giant fucking seismic urges. Just chill out, and you'll see all of your sanity was just a reaction to the discontent and dissatisfaction. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is, this is where the solution is only here. Awareness doesn't need awareness. Yeah. There needs to be awareness where there's a lot of unawareness. Yeah. And instead of looking for the light, find yourself as the light. Yes. Yes. And maybe you'll be handed over to people like a flashlight, and you'll have a big fucking smile about it. Because you found your seat assignment. You're meant to be a flashlight. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing better or worse than any other tool. But it's in the being used, there's a joy, yes? Yeah. So contentment, satisfaction, or discontent, irritable or restless. They're basically the two sort of launching pads. Yeah. All that you're searching for probably isn't going to bring contentment and satisfaction. But if you gave up being the seeker or the search, maybe you'd be content and satisfied with what you call so little right now. You may see it as more than enough. Yeah, because it's all proportion, not from itself, but from the way we see it. We are the dreaming of the dreaming. We're giving it all the meaning it has. So maybe you can give it, if you're looking from contentment and satisfaction, you would give things different meanings. It just would. Just happen. It wouldn't be I'm giving things different meanings. No, there'd be different meanings being given to things, and there'd be an observing of it. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. All right. Hey, thank you so much for the day, the night, and everything. And lovely. I have so many lovely people near me, and Amelia and Mia and the dog and Everett down in the Tenderloin. I told them to get sunglasses. You don't want anyone to be able to look at your eyes down there. I'm telling you. Yeah. Yeah. And I want to suggest to someone, anyone there, go to your nearest Target, count how many people go in, and count how many people leave. I bet you a lot of people don't leave Target. I believe it's an alien transport center. Adios. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Tomorrow's recovery, Friday, Saturday, whatever. All right? All right.
Thank you, Paul.